lately been using the most is X, because I got a pretty big following on there. Facebook, the only thing I use it for is like contacting like family.
Yep.
And Marketplace, like buying stuff for the farm on Marketplace. So funny story. For some reason, Facebook banned me from Marketplace. Yeah, for no reason at all.
Going too hard, maybe?
All I do is buy stuff. I don't even sell things,
Okay.
right? So they said you've been suspended or whatever, and so I'd have to request an appeal. But there was nothing to request because there was no reason that I was banned from it. So I think it was a bug. So, because like you'd go to like look to see like, well, why am I banned? Like typically it's like selling counterfeit stuff or scamming people or something like that. But you'd go to select that and there was nothing in there. So you couldn't report it because there's, you know what I'm saying? Like I was missing that step. So anyways, so then I had this account that we built for the Filipinos to use to manage like our Facebook. Okay. And so I started using it. So now on Facebook, I'm Laura Johnson.
Then when you show up as Philip, they're like, whoa.
Now it shows up as Laura Johnson.
I'm talking about in person. When you go
You go pick the item up. Yeah.
It is 2025. Like you could be a Laura Johnson.
That's right.
Man.
Hi, I'm Laura. And I have it like with my Meta glasses on now. So it's, shows up as Laura Johnson.
Yeah. But with the AI stuff, some of it is entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've messed around with the Sora platform.
I haven't.
It's like the
video one, right?
Yeah, OpenAI's new social media platform.
Yeah, my son's been using it. Oh no, it's a social media one?
That's what they're trying to like brand it as. Like it's a video like AI creating platform, but they have a social media side. So like the people that are making AI stuff can just share like onto their feed.
No, I haven't seen it. I thought that's not the video one then, right?
Yeah, it's video.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Sora. There's two good ones. It's the Sora, and then there's the Google has the VO3.
Yeah.
Which those are probably the two best video.
I made one the other day on the front of this barn using Grok.
Okay.
And it's Santa walking out the front door saying like, what, ho, 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 welcome to Huntington Ridge.
Nice.
And it did the whole thing with just Grok in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It turned out amazing. So we were actually talking about this, Dan and I, about, when is the point where Hollywood is going to be dead? Like, I mean, and they've come so far now at this point. In a year, is it going to be at the point where you can make a Hollywood quality movie yourself? And then if it's at that point, is it like where music's going now, where somebody at home has like a really good idea for a plot or a movie, creates something, and it just goes viral, and they literally just did it right from their laptop? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like takes off. Well, what happens to Hollywood at that point? Because now you're competing against anybody out there that can do it.
Right. I think we're closer to that than a lot of people think. Because I know in the film world, Hollywood, they're already under pressure with the AI thing. I think Trump or somebody in the government just did like some tax incentive or some incentive to keep like Hollywood films being made in California or in America in general, because a lot of these movies are being made in these different countries because they can hire like the set guys for cheaper. I don't know the exact terms of it. I saw it in the podcast, but like they're already taking a hit. And then in the music world, it's funny you said that because I actually started making my own music.
Sure.
And I have like a whole album out, and I haven't like put it out to like the public or anything, but like all it takes is one chick to dance to the song or one dance video.
And you got a hit.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it gets to the point where like anybody can make it. So then like the Hollywood thing, you just talked about like the studio and stuff like that. Like that's a massive expense and it's a massive risk, right? Like you're betting on the fact that you have the right stars, the right script, the right everything, that thing's going to go viral. It's going to take off and you're either returning your investment. But now like you said, it could be somebody just sitting there with a laptop. They come up with a really good idea in their home and they make this high quality video that takes off. You don't need a studio anymore. Right. You don't need actors anymore. You don't need writers. You don't need a script. It completely changes the game. So yeah, music and Hollywood in general and videos, and I'm just curious to see what's going to happen in the future. Or the opposite happens and people are sick of all the fake stuff and then they want to go towards real. Who knows what's going to happen? Because, I think about what happened during COVID with everyone being stuck at home. And then as soon as everything kind of lifted, everyone just wanted to get out, wanted to get out in nature. Parks kind of, took off. So it could be something like that. The fact that there's so much fake stuff online, everyone starts gravitating towards real.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think because the content in social media, like now that I've been in it for maybe around like 8-9 years, you start to see like its trends, and like content has like different. It's like how do I articulate this? It's like it goes through like these phases.
Yeah.
Like at first it was like talking head videos, just like talking head, and then it came into like B-roll, like talking head with all the extras, and then it's like text on screen is a big thing. Like before there was like videos, it was just a video.
Yeah.
And now it's a video, there's words popping up, captions, all kinds of stuff. And I think there's gonna circle back around where we had enough AI stuff. Like I want the real thing.
Right. Because, anything it's supply and demand. And when you just have so much fake content that can come out, it almost desensitizes you. And honestly, even in the business world, I'm looking at like emails and messages from people that maybe have some grammar mistakes and stuff like that in it. Because it's like this person actually wrote this,
Right.
Versus the majority of the stuff that I get is very high quality, polished, and I'm like clearly AI written.
Yeah.
And so somebody I was talking to, they're talking about even the dating world right now, and there's so much AI stuff in the dating world that single people are really having trouble knowing if the person that they're talking to is real. And there's scams and things like that going on. And I wonder if that world ends up getting so beat up with AI that people go back to like meeting in bars in real life.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? If it ends up killing the dating world. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen in the future with that.
Yeah. Especially back to the movie thing real quick. The time it takes to make a film versus like AI computer, 30 minutes, you can generate a whole freaking movie.
Yeah.
Rather than 9 months, we're in the Baltic Sea shooting on a boat or something crazy.
Right.
And then also in your world too, like the business world.
Yep.
A lot of people are using AI to like test ad creative. So instead of spending 10 grand on a piece of content to see if it works on, say, Facebook ads or whatever, they can create tons of different segmented or for different demographic little ad sets and run and test those way quicker than like letting the people test it.
Yeah, true. I will say though, like Meta and Google and those sort of sites are becoming more aware of AI and AI content, and they are penalizing people that use it too heavily. I was at a conference and there was a guy there that had created a ton of these blog sites, and he was generating a lot of income through these blog sites, all written with AI. And this was like the early days of OpenAI before people really caught on to it. And he was making good money at it. He was selling ads and stuff like that on the site. And at this conference, I was talking to him, and he was just devastated because overnight, Google eliminated his everything.
Business,
yeah, because they found out that it's just all AI crap content focused on SEO and keywords, and really was not providing true value like human written content. So it's kind of a catch-22. On the one hand, it's really easy to generate content, but on the other hand, is it doing well?
Right.
And what we're finding is the best content that we're getting in business right now is the content that's real humans. Like it's us, it's behind the scenes, it's the employees, it's me, like it's my wife even. So it's the stuff where we're actually seeing real humans do real human stuff. And so I think that's going to continue to be a trend in what's going to interest people, because that is unique. because it's so easy to create highly polished AI content. When you see something that is not highly polished and looks like a human, you're going to gravitate towards it,
Yeah.
especially when it's somebody you quote unquote know because they're an employee of the company or the founder of the company in my situation.
Yeah. And it's interesting for you because, not, don't take this wrong, but you have a little bit more experience in life than I do, just age.
Well, I'm
you
older. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Call me old. Right. Right.
In a nice way.
Yeah.
But you obviously, do you remember the days before the Facebook, before the Instagrams, before the YouTubes? Like, how was that? And now looking at it now, it's like a lot of people your age, they either see that as like, oh, I can never keep up with the technology. So how do you, I guess, why are you so interested in AI and social media and
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, so all that stuff it constantly adapts. And I'd say over the years in business, the one thing that is constant has been the change. We went from, no real internet to MySpace to Facebook to Instagram to TikTok and everything else that's come in between. And along the way, the algorithms change, the way content is consumed has changed, right? Short form, long form, all of it has continuously changed. And so one of the things that you'll find from successful people in any walk of life is they have a culture of learning. And so they're constantly finding out and curious about what the new thing is that's going to, that's coming out. And if you don't have a curious mind like that, then you're going to fade out because what worked yesterday is not going to work tomorrow.
right?
And that's what I see time and again. It could be an entrepreneur that's in their 70s or 80s, and they have this really sharp, curious mind, and it's what has led to the success that they've had in life.
Well said. Did you always think like that? Were you always entrepreneurial?
Me, I was always curious on how things work. So when I was growing up, when I was younger, every Christmas present that I ever got, I took apart. So like I had like remote control cars. I'd take them apart, see how they worked. My house phone, took it apart, had to know how it worked.
Sure, your parents love that.
Love that, yeah.
I fill up new toys, and the next day he breaks them.
Yeah. My dad actually locked the toolbox. Like, so I'd stop like getting into his tools and take stuff apart. And so I popped the hinges out of the toolbox.
Broke that too.
So I could get into it to get the tools. Yeah. So yeah, they loved me growing up, but so the challenges that I had in life was a lot of that, but it was also like the questioning, like, why can't I, or how can I figure that out, and that sort of thing. And the problem that entrepreneurs typically have in the workplace, including myself, was doing things the way that it's always been done just because that's the way it's always been done.
Amen.
And so my problem in corporate America, and I did really well in the corporate world, but my problem with it was I wanted to get things done, and I was willing to bypass middle management and contact the person that's actually going to make the decision. And middle management obviously doesn't like that, or your superiors don't like that you're jumping to get things done. So I was effective at the business side of things in sales, but I was not effective or very good at following the chain of command.
Gotcha.
And so that was my struggle with it. So I ran into that enough, along with wanting to see my kids and be a part of their life, that I said, I want to get into the entrepreneurship side of things.
What year was that? Just for context.
Yeah, for sure. So I give you a little bit of my background. So I was in the corporate world, and when I was younger, I always thought like success was being that business guy that you saw at the airport, frequent flyer miles, like traveling around, living out of a hotel, like traveling, seeing the country or the world. I was like, man, that is success. And so I worked my way up to that, and I was doing that. I was flying around the world. I was living out of a hotel, and I had reached the level of success that I wanted as a kid. The only problem with that is that I now had a family. And I had a wife and kids, and I didn't want my wife just raising the kids on her own. And so I left the corporate world and had no idea what I was going to get into, but I started flipping houses, and I had some rental properties.
Nice.
And on the side, I started this food delivery business.
Okay.
And it took off, and I ended up franchising it across 6 states.
What kind of food? What's the name of it?
Also, it's called 5 Star Food Express.
Okay.
And it was, we deliver for restaurants. This was prior to like DoorDash and Uber
that's what
Eats
it
and stuff like that
sounds
taking off. Yeah, yeah.
You pioneered the
Well,
food
kind of. There was a
delivery
bunch of us at the same
industry.
time. Yeah, yeah. I pioneered franchising it because we had local franchises that were running it. And so it took off. It was, across 6 states, and it was doing really well. And but then once again, I was traveling, living out of a hotel, working nonstop, not seeing my family. So I had like worked my way up to that same business thing again. And I said, I don't want to do this again, right? Mm-hmm. Once again, I'm back doing the corporate thing. So I ended up selling that company. And this was like right before COVID, I ended up selling it. And I sold the office and everything. And I said, this time around, I'm going to do things different. I'm going to work from home as much as possible. I want to be around my family. I want to dictate my schedule. And so I started in the tech world, and that's exactly what I did. I stuck to building a company that didn't require me to be a part of it. And the cool part about building something like that is it forces you to rely on other people and delegate to other people, but it allows you to expand much quicker than you'd ever be able to do on your own when you are the key person and you're really bottlenecking the growth of your company.
Yep.
And so for me, that's really where my company started taking off was when I was able to do that.
Wow. I'm interested about the franchising part.
Yeah.
What does it take to like franchise a
business? Yeah, for sure. Well, so for starters, there's something that a lot of entrepreneurs will say, and including myself, which is, I'll figure it out.
Of course.
Like that sounds like such a simple phrase, but there's so many times where it's like, franchise a business. What are you, McDonald's? You didn't even go to college. You can't do that. Oh, like start an international business, and you can't do that. All these things repeatedly. There's no reason that somebody like me should be able to do that, except that I time and time again would say, I'll figure it out. And that's exactly what I do. The thing is, in this day and age, especially with AI now, we have access to so much material. If you were to think about like your grandparents or your great grandparents, and you were to go back in time and say, hey, I'm going to give you this box, and this box will give you access to all of the world's combined knowledge, and you can ask it anything and figure anything out. What will you do with it? And they would say, oh my God, that's like magic, right? Like that's like a genie. Like imagine what I could do with it, right? Well, we all have that now.
I know. It's crazy.
But we don't. But instead, we don't use it for what it's capable of. So, starting with that question, like, how do I do this? How can I do this? And start looking into it, and with the mindset of I'll figure it out. You just do it step after step. So, the first thing I had to do as a business is find a CPA that could do an accounting that is appropriate for a franchise. So you have to have an audited financial statement. Well, the only CPAs that do audited financial statements were the ones that do it for big companies. It was very difficult to find one that did it for a small business like me at the time. But I found one.
Okay.
He was the one guy that did it, right?
I thought you were going to say, I created my
own CPA. Yeah. No, but it existed. It took time. Like it took a lot of time. Like everyone told me, like, you're not going to find somebody that does this. Yeah. Like it's only the big companies that do it, and they're going to charge you, a fortune, and they only want to work with the large companies. And the reason why is because that CPA then gets his stuff audited by a group of CPAs in order to do it. So it was difficult to find, but that was the first step in it. And it took a lot of time and phone calls and a lot of people saying, no, there's no way you're gonna be able to do this. And then I found him. So boom, that thing was checked. Then it was like, okay, I need to have all the contracts and all the franchise agreements and all that stuff written up. And then I need to get registered in states. And it was just making a lot of calls. And then until I found the lawyers that did that and had the experience to do it. And so time and time again, it was just checking the box and figuring it out and then finding the appropriate person to help me out. And yeah, looking back like a year later after I started it and we had everything in place, it was a lengthy process, but it pulled it off because it just kept moving forward and saying, I'll figure it out.
And sound like that's the theme that you have going on.
That's the theme. I'll figure it out. And that's kind of what's paid off in life is just, I'll figure it out. Because yeah, you look at something externally and you say, oh my God, that's so big. Like that's such a incredible thing that person pulled off, right? But you're looking at them way down the road, right? Like you look at Apple, this multi-trillion-dollar company, but you go back in time and you look at what they had in the garage, and it was like this wooden box with wires sticking out of it, right? Like that was where they started. And so you can't look at the finished product that somebody else has or where they're at in their journey. You got to start where you're at now and say, I'll figure it out. And then when you get to the next problem, you say, I'll figure it out. And you just keep moving forward.
Damn.
As much as I love doing these podcasts virtually, I much rather sit down and talk to somebody one-on-one in person. I can look at them, I can feel the energy that they're giving off, and it's just a better vibe. So if you know anybody that would be interested or that would be a good guest for the podcast show, please get us in contact, put us together, or just relay them my information. I would love to sit down and talk to them. And with that, I will continue to do my best to improve my podcasting skills and my interviewing skills to one day bring on bigger guests that you would love to see me collab with.
Just cut it right there, mic drop, end it right there. That's awesome. And that's kind of what, obviously, we just took a tour of your property here at the horse farm. And I don't know if you want to get into like how you figure that out too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Cause, you know, having never ridden a horse and buying a 54-acre commercial horse farm is probably pretty crazy, right?
Yeah. Walking in and seeing it, you would have think, oh, Philip is into horses. He
Yeah,
loves horses.
been into horses a whole life and stuff. Yeah. That's right.
That's what you would think, but no, you kind of
figure it out.
Yeah.
So for starters, going back to like surrounding yourself with the right people and finding the right people, happen to have a barn manager here that has been with the property since the beginning, and that certainly helps out a lot. And having the right people around me that's helped out. But the other side of it is, you talked about most successful people are continuous learners, and I've interviewed on my podcast a lot of very successful people, and every one of them that I've met, I can ask, what book are you reading right now? And they'll like pull one out and say, it's this one right here. Like, I'm reading this book. Successful people continuously learn. And when I bought this property, that's exactly what I did. I just started reading every book on running a horse farm that I could. So it was a combination of having the right people around me that knew what they were doing, but also reading as much as I could and digging into horse care, how to effectively run the finances on a horse farm. Even some of the landscaping and the stuff we've learned around moving water across the property and all sorts of different things, continuously learning it. So that's one of the things that you see time and time again from people, and you say, well, they're in this field, but then they jump over to a completely different field and they're still finding success in it. It's because it doesn't matter about the field. It matters about their attitude towards being a continuous learner in life. That's really what separates the people. Here's a little fun fact. 42% of college graduates will never finish a full book again after they graduate college. 42%.
I believe it.
Right. Whereas the top CEOs in the United States, the top CEOs read roughly one book a week. So it's like, do you want to align yourself with the average person, or do you want to align yourself with the most successful people out there? And the most successful people, I mean, Bill Gates has like a reading list. Oprah has one. The most successful people out there read continuously. And it's something I tell my son all the time. He's like, well, I read articles online, I watch videos and stuff like that. There's something different about reading a book because it's not just about consuming the material. It's that you're taking the time to read an entire book. You're taking time to slow down because you value the education that you're getting from that. And the whole process of not only learning it, but also slowing down and forcing yourself to learn it, it leads to a successful life.
Yeah, that's actually very correct. And I, thinking about you, hearing you say that, it's like, wow. Because I was kind of like your son, like, I was reading. And now that I'm starting to, let's say my business career, my entrepreneur career probably just started maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Leading up to that, I was just having fun, playing sports, didn't really look towards like later in life.
Sure.
And now learning like, okay, how important reading is, just taking the time to comprehend, even just like saying the words out loud. I do read, and now like I read out loud because I feel like I can help my brain comprehend like the message out of the book.
Sure, yeah.
What book are you reading right now then?
So I'm reading a book on breathing right now.
Breathing?
Breathing.
Oh, okay.
How to breathe. I know, which sounds crazy, but so what it talks about in the book is the evolution of humans to support our large brain and the ability to speak. Our throat and our sinus cavities had to move into a shape that, one, allows you to choke on your food, whereas other animals don't choke on their food while trying to eat like we can. And
goes down the wrong pipe.
Yeah. But it's a sacrifice that we do. But also it leads to a lot of sinus problems. So people mouth breathe. And so in the book, I'm still early on in the book. I just started reading it, but he talks about how when you mouth breathe versus nose breathing, the dry air reshapes your face, and there's a bunch of horrible things that happen because when your air actually travels through the nasal cavity, it's warmed up and moisture is applied to it, so the oxygen is absorbed better in your system. And so people that snore at night and mouth breathe typically have a higher risk of like heart disease and stroke and a bunch of other things. Even actually lowers your IQ because you're not getting quality sleep and you're not getting quality oxygen to your brain as well. So a really fascinating book, and it's based on a lot of studies. And currently in the book, he's going through this study where they block his nose. So he's forced to mouth breathe, and then they're running all these tests on him to see what happens. And it's a pretty interesting book, but that's what I'm reading on right now.
Yeah, I've actually heard that the whole like, they're mouth breathers is like a thing, but there's a science behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once I figured that out, I've actually tried to like shut the mouth and just breathe through the nose.
Yeah. When he's in the book, he's talking about meditation and all these cultures that have text and processes for how to breathe appropriately. So, like I said, I'm kind of at the beginning, so I can't speak too much on it, but it's really interesting.
It's like a Wim Hof.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, for sure. That's that's in there too. Yeah, absolutely.
Which that does work. I've tried to do like the whole cold plunge and like biohacking. Health optimization thing.
That's good.
Eventually, I stumbled across like the Wim Hof method.
Yeah.
And it works, but hell, there could be, no matter how cold the water is, bro. The water's cold.
It's cold, yeah, for sure.
You can breathe
100%.
different methods.
Yeah.
Like, that thing is cold.
Yeah.
Being a busy guy, do you spend a lot of time, like, not using the term biohacking, but aware and conscious of like your health and longevity?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So we talked about like continuous education being important. The other thing that a lot of successful people that I talk to have in common is they typically have some sort of physical activity or workout that they do. The importance of like not only longevity but dealing with stress, right? Like entrepreneurs, we deal with a ton of stress. I mean, there's times where things go horribly wrong, and you're like, why am I still doing this on my own? I can go get a job somewhere and not have to deal with this level of
I
stress.
think about that all the time.
Yeah,
It's just
for
so much
sure.
easier to just punch the clock.
Yeah.
Like those days are there.
Absolutely. So having a way to kind of let go of some of that through a workout routine is important. So yeah, physical workout is every day is really important to me. And then something else that I focus on is mental health. And that's helped out a lot through life and my journey, and through meditation and things like that. Gratitude journals and stuff have really helped me out as well.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of successful people talking about journaling
Yeah.
and just writing, just putting pen to paper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. If you're somebody who has like trouble coming up with like ideas, or, or like, you're right before bed, you got all these great ideas, or you're standing in the shower and you have all these ideas, it's because you're not having an outlet for putting that stuff out there and taking it out of your brain and kind of putting it on paper. And, so I encourage anybody, like, take time and actually schedule time to sit there and journal. And it's not really about what you put on the paper. Like, that's not really the important thing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you come up with some really good ideas, but it's really just getting it kind of out of your head. And it's almost like a meditative process of just sitting there, getting it out and looking at it on paper, because you're kind of organizing your thoughts and putting them down. And it's incredibly helpful. And if you look throughout history, some of the most successful people in history, like a Benjamin Franklin and stuff, all practiced daily journaling. And they did it for that reason. It helped them get their thoughts, help them organize it, get them out of their head. And when you get them out of your head, you sleep better, right? Because you're not sitting there overwhelmed with these thoughts when you're trying to sleep.
Yes, dude.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
that's me. It's like laying in bed at night, like, oh, I got all these great ideas and YouTube formats and podcast setups. Like, I can't get to sleep. I'm gonna try it tonight just to jot it down.
Take a minute and write it down.
See if that'll help free up some of the bandwidth in the brain. Just thinking of like all the opportunities and stuff. It's a real.
You don't have to have like an exact format. Just free write. Just write whatever is on your mind. Just take a minute to just journal.
Yeah.
Too many people get caught up on what to write.
Yep.
That doesn't matter. It's just literally the process of writing. Yeah.
I gotta write good, or I can't even read this, and I start over. It's like, just get it on the paper.
Yeah, 100%. It's like writing a book. Like, it's not going to look good in the beginning, but you just taking the time to write it down and get it out is what matters.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good tip. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, leading into your business life, how did you go from in the food world, and then how did you have interest into the tech world?
Yeah.
How did that? There was some overlaps. Obviously, the food probably had technology involved and some type of automations.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, when I was in there, I mean, really the thing that drove the food delivery business was the tech side of things. And when I sold that company, I had a chance to look at like what I really enjoyed and what I did not enjoy. And the part that was dragging was the traveling and the constantly having to be to places. And I knew the new companies that I started, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be present for my family and be around there. But I did love the tech side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, having like an idea and then creating it and solving problems through technology it's just fascinating. It's really fun. And so I expanded on that, and we identified a real problem in the communication space with texting. And so that's what ended up building TechStrip. Was we said, if we can really figure this out and have amazing customer service, we think we have a really good product here. And we were right, it took off. And so we took off with TechStrip, and then we have another company called Argos Automation, which automates like CRMs and stuff. We have a business called Landline Remover, which removes landlines, but also notifies you of people that are on the do not call registry, known litigators who are filling out forms just so they can try to send you a form saying you owe them $5,000. They're going to take it to court, sue you and stuff like that. So we help you identify those in your contact lists and things like that. So different areas that we've identified where there's a lack of a really good service in that, and then we build around it. And yeah, I love the process of creating and troubleshooting, and that's what technology really allows me to do.
Yeah. Just take a few steps back. When you sold the food franchise,
Yeah.
did you not like come out with a big payout and just want to ride off into sunset? Like,
Well, yeah, but what I mean, if you were to talk to somebody who has really like made a ton of money and then gone and moved to like a beach,
it's not happy.
they're never happy.
Yeah.
They do it for like a few months, maybe a year, and then they're like, I gotta figure something else out. Like people have to have purpose. You have to do something, right? This idea that you're gonna like win the lottery and then you're just gonna like retire and do nothing, I promise you, you will lose your mind.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like the grass is green on the other side kind of things. Like it sounds good, and then when
You can only sit on a beach for so long, you know.
I can't even do it for a week on
Yeah.
vacation with my wife.
Yeah,
Put a few
100%.
hours, and I'm like, all right.
So yeah, no. As soon as I sold it, I was like on to the next thing. And some of my employees that were with me in the food delivery business came over with me, and I said, "Look, I have no idea what we're going to get into, but you know, you guys want to come along?" Some of them went with the company that bought me out. They went with that direction, but some of them came with me. So it was like, I got to figure out something too for these people that came along with me. So it kind of was, you know, figuring out the next venture thing they were getting into. But you know, it's funny because when I had the food delivery company, my mom, when I was talking about selling it, she's like, what if that's it? Like, what if you had like this one idea and then like, that's it, you know? Yeah, but I had the confidence that I was like, no, it's not the business, it's me. Like, it's the way I do things and stuff like that. But in the back of my head, I was like, what if it is? Like, what if that's it? What if it's my one idea and then that's it, you know? And so when I started up the new like tech companies and they really started taking off, and then the next one did the same thing, and then the next one did the same thing, I was like, okay,
It's you.
it's me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not. And it's the people that I surround myself with, and it's the way that I look at things, and it's the problem solving, and it's the overcoming obstacles and things like that other people would give up on. That's what the difference is. And there's far more confidence than back then. But yeah, absolutely. I think in the beginning days, a lot of people hold on to things thinking, well, this is it. You know, a lot of people stay in jobs they hate or doing things they don't like because they think, well, I don't know if I can do better than this. And I promise you can.
Yeah. Sound like I hear like strong confidence in yourself and your ability to get shit done, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you, because I know we mentioned before we recorded, I just hired my first, I don't even call him an employee. He's more like a teammate. Like, I don't even look at it as like hierarchy where I'm at right now in the business. Like, we're both equal. So I don't even like to use the word employee. But when you left the food business and those people came to work with you, obviously it was because they like being around you or they value your leadership.
Yeah.
How did you learn and maneuver into like that leadership position? Did it come naturally to you? Because like I said, my wife has a team of 14 girls, and half of the issue and problem now is just managing people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. No. Yeah, I mean, that's like probably one of the most difficult things in business. I don't know. There's a few people that I've met over the years that just naturally are phenomenal at it. And I hate those people. I mean, because for me, it's something I had to work at.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, it took a lot of like reading. It took a lot of like trial and error, you know. I remember when I was younger, I used to think like, you know, you'd see like the movies and stuff, and it seemed like successful people had to trade like values and things like that for money or for success, right? Like you always saw like the rich person in the movies or whatever, the successful person is this bad guy, right? Like they were mean to their workers and stuff like that, right? Well,
Steve Jobs kind of guy.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, you just think about like the classic movie, and it's like the rich millionaire or billionaire comes in and like bulldozes the I don't know, the building they all loved,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
buys something up or whatever, or like fires everyone in the town, or whatever, or forces them to work on their Christmas vacation. It's like the whole Scrooge story, right? And so I was always concerned with that when I was a kid. Like, am I going to have to like sacrifice my values and my appreciation for people when I get into business? And then my mom, when she got married to my stepdad was a executive at HP, and when he moved in with us, he brought all of these books. And one of the books that he brought was How to Win Friends and Influence People with Dale Carnegie. And it was, for anybody who hasn't read it, I encourage you to, because it's like a foundational book for people communication and leadership. And it was the first time that I actually got the chance to look at it and say, wait a minute, no, this is a different way of leadership. Like, you can have your cake and eat it too. And if you lead the right way, it's a better way of doing things. And so since then, I've always been people first. Like, you invest in your people, you take care of your people, you find the right people, you surround yourself with the right people, and then you have a mutually beneficial relationship where they want to work for you and they want to do their best, and you're getting the best version of those people working for you. And so that's kind of always the way that I've been. And so our companies, we do like free continuous education for people. So if they want to take a course, or they want, books, we'll reimburse them for it and stuff like that. But we're reinvesting back in our people because we know that's our greatest asset. Doesn't matter if I'm doing food delivery, running a horse farm, or doing a tech company. It's all about the people.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah, man.
Fire. Like, and I'm talking about from like my own personal notes. Like, what's that book again?
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So
How to Win Friends.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. Yeah. He wrote a few books. I mean, this is back in the day, but the things that he talks about still live today. And it's just about treating people good, treating people well, knowing their first name, right? And using it when you talk to them and stuff like that. At the time when he wrote it, I don't know what it was, back in the 30s or 40s or something like that. That was probably revolutionary back then.
Right, same. Remembering their name, yeah.
Yeah,
we don't have iPhones where you can just save the name and.
Yeah, absolutely. But he talked about all those things back then. It was revolutionary, but it still holds true today.
Yeah.
And you'll see time and time again managers and people trying to like just bulldoze their way through business by just pushing people and forcing people and using like the stick mentality, instead of the carrot mentality. And that just, it doesn't work. It's you're going to burn yourself out trying to do it. You want people that are highly motivated and want to do well because they love you, they love the organization, and they want to see what's best for it. You don't want people that you're forcing and you're pushing along because they're afraid of you or losing their job. And it's a horrible, atmosphere
that would not be cool. And for the business and the people that are not business minded and entrepreneurial, can you elaborate what the carrot method and the stick method is?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So carrot or stick, right? The different forms of motivation. Stick is you're avoiding something unpleasant. Carrot is you're moving towards something that you want, and so that's the carrot or the stick method. And it's been proven, whether it's an animal or a human, the carrot method always works better than the stick, because the stick method, the people will end up resenting you.
Yeah.
So the carrot method always works better. And at the end of the day, it's like, what is success? Is it just, is it working in an environment that you hate and all the people that hate you for money? It's not worth it, right? But creating an environment where people can be successful, where people love what they do, where they say, this is the best job I've ever worked for. Like, I love what I do, and it doesn't matter what you do, I'll come work for you. Man, what a compliment that is to work, right? And then, when you have a culture like that and people that you can trust, you're not then having to micromanage everything they do, because you can trust them, and they're doing it because it's so much more important to them, because we've all worked for companies that you hate working for the guy, right? You don't like it, right? So when you find that one that you absolutely love, it's such a massive differentiator, and you want to do your best.
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you think for you personally the hardest thing is when it comes to building that culture and getting, and I hate to use the word employees, but getting the people that work with you to like be on the same page and want to push the shit forward?
Yeah, I mean, the toughest thing with that is, I mean, communication is in a whole, especially when you're working like multiple countries and you're, working through multiple different communication methods. Like for instance, texting is great, messaging is great, but easily misinterpreted. You think you're saying one thing, and the person receiving it is using a totally different voice, right,
Yeah.
or something than what you thought. And so, understanding that, you need to make sure when you're writing things that you're taking into consideration how that person's going to read it, including cultural differences when you're talking to somebody from a different part of the world, right? And so that's one of the challenges. And then add to that when you have employees from different cultures that are then talking to each other. So then you have to coach those people on how to talk to each other as well.
Yeah.
And so interpersonal communication is definitely one of the most challenging things in business, because you're dealing with different personalities, different egos, different cultures,
Right.
religions. I mean, a little bit of politics, all that stuff. And so you got to make it all work together. And so, hopefully you've done it right. You have a clear mission. People love what they do. They're excited to work for you, and they're going to help you work through some of those communication challenges, understanding that there's a greater purpose with what you're working towards, but sometimes it doesn't always work out the way you want it to.
And you have, like you said, international people that work with you. And like, do you use AI translator to communicate with them, or?
No, I mean, everyone that works for us speaks English. I mean, that's one of the benefits to the British, man, is the English is all over the world,
Yeah.
right? So we can be lazy as Americans because there's English everywhere. But yeah, I mean, so primarily that everyone speaks English that works for me. So I don't really have that problem.
Yeah.
But even within that, there's different ways things are said. There's different cultures and things where you could accidentally offend somebody, or something could be completely misinterpreted. And when you're dealing with projects, things around technology that aren't communicated correctly or understood correctly, you can spend a lot of money and time doing things wrong without knowing it. So that becomes kind of a challenge, and you have to work through it to make sure that you're communicating things correctly. And so oftentimes we're repeating things 3 and 4 times, and then having that person repeat it back to us and explain it in their own way to make sure that there's no miscommunication on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking like, because you're giving out so many like good gems. I'm like, all right, I'm trying to compartmentalize and like see how I can put it into my own operation. So
Yeah.
that's like really good information.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it. What keeps you going? Like, what is your why now? In my head, like I look at you as a guy of success. You sold a business, maybe 2, and then moved on to the next one. What keeps you hungry and keeps you going?
Yeah. I mean, I like solving problems. I really, like I described, I love when an employee says like, this is the ideal job that I,
But you can
working
solve problems
for.
outside of business. You
Yeah.
can work on cars and solve problems there, or be around the farm.
The farm. Yeah.
There's always problems going on here, but in business specifically, why do you?
Yeah, because you're creating environments, you're creating jobs, you're solving problems. I mean, business and entrepreneurship, I think, is one of the most exciting and noble careers you can do, because you're creating opportunity in
For other people.
yeah, for everybody involved, right? So, like, you take TechStrip, for instance, or Landline Remover, one of those companies. Like, the typically we're dealing with businesses that use that service. And so we're creating opportunities for that business. They're able to do text marketing and things like that through our thing. We're creating opportunities for our employees, and we have employees that work for us that say, hey, I just bought my first house and we got married because of this job, and things like that. that's so cool.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so that type of thing is exciting. And then you bring up this horse farm, this place meant a lot to a lot of people. And prior to us buying it, this animal rescue that currently has felony charges for animal abuse against the director, they had like destroyed this place. I mean, there's fences broken, there was manure buildup all over the property, there was trash everywhere, and these people who this was their happy place, including my wife, that had loved this place, watched the place just get destroyed, like their dream place just get destroyed. And so to be able to come in and redo it and rebuild it and see like the joy on not only my wife's face, but everyone that's been riding here, to be able to be a part of that is really cool and really exciting.
Yeah.
And so that's my motivation is seeing that joy and be able to fix things and be able to update things and be able to provide opportunities for people, and solve problems and figure things out that other people can't figure out. That's what drives me, and I'll probably continue to do until the day I drop dead.
Yeah, that's amazing. I believe it too. That's why I like doing these podcasts in person, because like not only you hearing and saying it, but sitting here next to you, I can feel that you really mean that. Were you in your entrepreneurial journey, were you ever financially motivated?
Well, sure. I mean, early on, I mean, yeah, I was financially motivated, but one of the things I grew up one of seven, raised by a single mother,
Wow.
and so we were
Kudos to her.
yeah, we were poor. I mean, growing up, and but one of the things that we had was solid work ethic. We'd go cleaning houses with her during the day. We'd do like a paper route at night with her and stuff, and so we were constantly working, and that was instilled early on. And when I was younger, I was always like, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a millionaire. That was my thing. But you get money, and then you're like, well, is that the most important thing to me in my life? And for anybody who has a family and has kids, who that's their primary motivator is just money, you'd say, well, okay, let's say you want to be a millionaire or billionaire. Are you willing to give up your kids for it? Like say, hey, see you later. I'll see you when you're 18, or when you're grown up. Are you willing to give up like your wife for it and your family and your, all that stuff? Are you willing to give it up for that? And so then often, most of the time, people will say no, right? Unless you're crazy, a sociopath, you'll say no. Of course not. Of course I'm not going to give up my kids and my wife and my family and stuff like that. Those are the most important things to me in my life. Right. So those are the most important things. So now what's your motivation? Well, now my motivation is something different. And money is typically the byproduct of what I'm doing. And so the thing I always say is figure out what you want. Yeah, sure. Money is great. It allows you to do a lot of things. But if that's your only goal in life, you'll fall short.
Yeah.
And you'll never have enough. You'll never be satisfied because you're always chasing that. Find out what's your bigger purpose. What really brings you joy in life? And you may find that you can do something that maybe doesn't make the best money in the world, but when you look back on your life at the end of your life, you're going to say, hey, I lived a happy and purposeful filled life.
Yeah, it's so true, because I think a lot of people getting started in their entrepreneurial journey probably fall victim to like chasing the money.
Well, and you need it, right? I mean, so funny story. When I left my corporate job and I was getting in like real estate and flipping houses and stuff like that. Like I didn't want to take money out of that. So I was living off of my savings while doing that. And then I started like the food delivery thing and stuff like that. But I had this fear of not getting a paycheck. I mean, I had my wife, we have an autistic child, so she had to stay home with him. And I'm the sole breadwinner for our family. And I remember riding with my newborn son in the back seat looking at myself in the mirror going, did you just mess up their future? You know what I mean? You went from a nice six-figure income and you left it all. Wow. Did you just mess everything up? I remember thinking that, right? So then I started like, okay, what's the worst that's going to happen? And so I went to retail stores and I started buying things off of the end caps at like 90% off and started selling them on eBay as a proof of concept. What I figured out was I could do that and make enough money off of that to pay all my bills.
Yeah.
And so it was a confidence booster for me to say, obviously, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to,
I can survive.
But I can survive. Yeah. And it was a big kind of a confidence booster for me saying like, okay, worst case, I can do that and I can get by. And so, yeah, I can understand how, especially in the beginning, when you're just starting off, how money is a huge financial motivator. But then you're going to get to a point where you have that. And then if you keep chasing that your entire life, it's not going to be fulfilling. So that's the thing I would tell anybody. But yes, early on when you're just, returning pop bottles for gas money, type of thing, it's incredibly important. And so I don't want to glaze over that part. But the thing I would say is there's so many opportunities in this country for you to make money. If entrepreneurship is something that you feel like is a passion in your life, something that you really want to pursue it because you'll figure it out.
Yeah. And it's 2025. Back in, you were doing retail arbitrage by buying cheap, selling on eBay. Now people can DoorDash, they can Uber. There's so many different gig.
Yep.
The
gig economy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People can take risks and have like something to fall back on. I tell my wife that too because her little company. I'm like, let me be careful with my words here.
No, but the cleaning thing is like a perfect example. I actually use that all the time when I'm talking to people. They're like, people like to use excuses for why they can't pursue certain things, right? Versus like the entrepreneur saying like, I'll figure it out. And so the common excuse I'll have is like, I don't have the money to start this. I don't have the knowledge to do this or whatever, right? And I say, well, look at a cleaning business. Like you can literally start a cleaning business on your own with no money really. I mean, just or barely anything and start cleaning houses until you make enough money to be able to hire somebody and then build on that and build on that and build on that because we live in an amazing country, an amazing time, right? You just have to be really good, really hardworking, differentiate, do quality service and all that stuff. But you don't need anything. Anybody can start off with that and then build on it. You know what I mean? And so it eliminates the excuses. Not saying everyone needs to get into cleaning business, but when you look at it from that perspective, you don't need anything. You can figure it out. You can make it work. You just got to start where you're at and build from there.
Yeah. And it's funny you said that. I just had a conversation with my buddy. We were talking about the podcast. He like came across one of the episodes and was like, wow, man, like you started this whole thing. In my head, it's like you said, people just see the end. They don't see the beginning. Yeah. And he mentioned that he wanted to start something similar, but he couldn't because he didn't have the funds to buy like microphone and camera.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just going to say this to put people on game. You could literally go to Amazon, buy all the equipment you need, do your podcast, like 1 month, you have 30 days. Try to get as many podcast recordings as possible. Return all the equipment, get your money back. The next 30 days you spend editing, posting, and you just rinse and repeat until you build up some funds or something. So just to touch on what you said, we live in such a great time where like almost anything is possible.
Anything is possible. I mean, you can even rent a podcast studio, right? Like those exist all over the place. We were talking about that, but there's podcast studios you can rent by the hour, right? So if you line up some things, you can go in there, use their equipment and everything and record a podcast. So all you have to do is ask, how do I do this? Instead of saying, yeah, I can't do this.
Yeah, exactly. And what comes down, what I hear is like, he just doesn't want it. They don't want it bad enough. Right. And he's my good friend. So Ben, if you're watching this, bro, it's true, bro. You don't fucking you don't want it bad enough. Like, come on, let's go get it. But I think, we just live in 2025 and I might be a little cynical, but like, I truly believe like anything, especially for me, like if I want to get something done, it can get done. But like, that's for everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
You just got to find, I guess, your why. And sometimes it's financial, family, and just get out there and get cracking. Yeah.
Yeah. So in his situation, the podcast thing, I mean, that if that's not really his passion, then what is it? And that's where you want to spend the time exploring it because if it was podcasting, he'd figure out a way to do it.
Absolutely.
You know, so maybe he just needs to spend time saying like, what is my passion? Well, my passion's, like you said, working on cars, or my passion's, you know, running marathons or whatever it is. Yeah. Find what that is. It doesn't necessarily have to be in business or podcasting in your situation.
Yeah. In your all your knowledge and expertise, do you think where do you think there's a space in the business world for not an improvement, but like area for opportunity?
Yes. Well, right now with AI, I would say that the biggest area that anybody can like stand out is by being unique. You know, showing your individual voice and who you are and being unique in this day and age where everything is vanilla, cookie cutter, AI driven content that's created. It's, I don't know. It's if you can stand out, you're going to get recognized in this. There's content creators and people out there that are doing it. They're finding ways to put out unique content, and they are being compensated very well for it. So in business right now, I think that's the biggest thing. Find a way to be unique, stand out, solve problems that nobody else is even looking at or trying to or wants to. You know, even if there's somebody else in the industry or the area that you're trying to do, doesn't matter. You can still figure out a better way to do it. You know, when we were in the food delivery business, you know, it's funny because you talk about like pizza. If you didn't move into like an area that already exists, there would not be new pizza places out. You'd say like, well, back in the 80s, every pizza place that already existed, there's Domino's, Little Caesars, right?
I see what you're saying.
You know, but there's new pizza places coming out all the time, right? And they come out with new ways, new creative ways to make pizza or cook pizza or whatever, right? And they're the successful businesses that come out. Well, the same thing in whatever industry that you're going into, you look at it and go, well, there's already podcasters out there. There's already, you know, video creators out there. There's already a text messaging company out there. That's fine. Figure out what you can do better or what's an unsolved problem in that area that you can solve better than what they're doing.
Yeah. Or it's funny. I light up when you say these things because like my mind is just so, I guess, alike in some ways. There's an entrepreneur that I follow. His name is Jesse Itzler. And I say his name because if anybody's listening, I highly encourage to consume his content. He's like, I have like tons of like these I call online mentors that I just follow them and learn from them. And he kind of said the same thing, is you can take a current product and just add a different experience to it. Like he started a pickle company.
Yeah.
Pickles have been sold, bought, consumed the same for decades.
Yeah.
And he just added a little spin. And I always, my wife, she probably hates me. I'm always throwing her like these different business ideas. And I'm like, babe, we should just start like a sock company. Because think about socks. They've been sold. They're like in those packages of 3 rows, bundled up in that plastic. They have those annoying little plastic things that you have to pop open and get it. Like, what if we just made socks a fun experience for people and just took a little bit of the market share? But any product, now I look around as like, just everything. If you just add a different experience into how people either buy or consume the product, you could probably get a little bit of market share.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sometimes it's just customer service. You know, we got into all the tech companies. One of the things that drove me nuts is when a tech company requires you to go through their forums and self-solve and figure things out on your own, and they don't have any real customer service. It's a huge cost savings for them because they don't have to employ real people. They have, you know, AI bots or whatever, or help forums and stuff like that you solve from. But I said, well, what if we do different things, you know, in our company?
Yeah.
So in my companies, you're speaking to a real human in under 30 seconds.
Wow.
7 days a week. Nobody else is doing that in the industries that I'm in. So it's a huge differentiator for people that, like me, are willing to pay for a service, but they want someone to help them out. They want the white glove treatment. They're willing to pay even more for it if they get that white glove treatment. And we found time and time again that there's a lot of people that are like me that are looking for that. And so we built companies around that. And it could be in an industry that there's something like that already exists. We're just doing it better. Another example is with the landline remover product. So we had started TextStrip and we were doing texting, and I was trying to figure out a way that we could remove non-textable numbers. And
What do you mean exactly non-textable numbers?
yeah, so like you think
Coming
about
from a guy that didn't have a house, I don't have a house phone. I
house
always
phone.
had cell phones.
Yeah. So my mom, right? She when she signs up at like a grocery store or something like that for like the rewards program, she signs up using this old house phone number that she hasn't had in probably like 15 years.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Just to sign up to give him like a fake number.
She gives a fake number because she doesn't want to call or whatever,
yes.
Right?
I like your mom.
So you can't text that number. And if you try to, you're wasting money and you may be ruining your account with the carriers.
You're on the B2C side. I was thinking like you're on the custom, like the C2C or.
Well, so our customers they'll sometimes get these contact forms with these numbers and they're garbage numbers, right? You can't actually text them. So they're trying to figure out which one of these are garbage numbers before they actually try to text them. So I was trying to find a service that would work with ours. And I went out there and I looked at all these different services, and I had a phone number that I've had forever. And they would all say it was the carrier that I had like 20 years ago now at this point. I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that. But it hasn't been that since 2005. So that's like 20 years. It hasn't been with that carrier, and they were still reporting on that. Mm-hmm. So I said, if they're all using inaccurate data, what would happen if we built a company with really accurate data, like real time, real accurate data? And so that's what ended up with landline removers. We built that, and it's taken off, and it's organic, and it just keeps building month over month over month, because there's a lot of people like me who said, this stuff is old data they're trying to do. Whereas I found a company that is priced really, really good, and they have really accurate information, and it just works.
Yeah.
Right. And that's ultimately what we built, and that solved that problem.
Dang. Well, ever heard the term like you don't know, what is it? Like you don't know what you don't know or something like that.
Yeah.
How did you come across that was even a problem for these businesses?
Well, because I was experiencing it myself,
Oh, because you were doing it.
Yeah, we were doing it. So so with TextStrip, we were sending out text messages, and we get a delivery report that pops back and says whether the message was delivered, the text message was delivered to a handset, to a phone, or not. And so we would find out that there's a percentage of them. Sometimes it's, like 17 to 20% of your messages are not getting delivered. And so we said, well, how do we fix this for our customers? Because we're charging them because we're having to pay to have these things delivered. We want to reduce the amount of these things. How do we fix this? So that's where it started. It was like, how do I fix this?
Fixing your own problem.
And so we started looking around, and we found that all the other services out there were trash. They were all garbage. They were all using these old databases.
Yeah.
So we said, well, if nobody else is doing this right, what if we started doing it? And so we fixed it. And then along the lines, we started having customers ask us like, well, hey, can you help me with finding out what numbers are on the do not call list? So we added that feature. And then we started finding out through conferences that there are people out there who, and a lot of them are lawyers, their job is to put their information out on the internet, get you to contact them so they can sue you. Yeah, that's like literally what they do, right? Like they're putting their information, they want businesses to contact them because their number's on the do not call list or whatever. And they're trying to get you to contact them so that they can they send you an email saying, hey, we'll settle out of court for $5,000.
So it's kind of like the no soliciting, but I'm going to catch you slip.
They're trying to catch you slipping. Yeah, through something. So you do something wrong, they're going to try to catch you, right? Well, we track these people all across the United States that are doing this. They're called known litigators. And we built this service inside landline remover to help you identify these and remove them from your list, so you don't even try to contact these people. So you're not dealing with somebody who's doesn't actually want to be a customer.
Right.
They want to catch you slipping so that they can try to extort money from you.
And that's legal. They're doing.
It's legal. A lot of them are lawyers. Yeah. Like that's the way they work from home,
Yeah.
And they figured out that they can work from home, extort money from people by finding a way for you to slip up. And that's what they do. So we added that to landline remover because once again, it's a problem out there for our customers, and we wanted to solve for it. And it's helped out a lot of people, right? And we've built a great business out of it as well.
As much as I love doing these podcasts virtually, I much rather sit down and talk to somebody one-on-one in person. I can look at them, I can feel the energy that they're giving off, and it's just a better vibe. So if you know anybody that would be interested or that would be a good guest for the podcast show, please get us in contact, put us together, or just relay them my information. I would love to sit down and talk to them. And with that, I will continue to do my best to improve my podcasting skills and my interviewing skills to one day bring on bigger guests that you would love to see me collab with.
Dang. And that goes back to say, like, it's 2025. Like, if they're figuring out ways to make it, it's like a two double-edged sword. Like, yeah, that sucks and that's messed up, but like, you got to give him credit. That guy must be hungry enough to figure out to make something work to put food on the table for his family.
That's right. I don't know.
He could have picked something else.
He could have picked something else. That's what he wants to do. I don't know. He finds joy in it, I guess, or working from home or whatever. Yeah. So, yeah.
Interesting.
But the fact that it exists and it's a problem, we want to make sure that people have a way to solve for that problem. Yeah. So that's what it came out with.
Wow. Very interesting. And all these things going on, two things that just popped in my head. I'm curious to know, because you have a lot going on, horse farm, family, businesses. What does time management look like for you? Do you obviously you have a lot of help and people that help you out, but for personal time management, how do you systematize, like, all right, Monday through Friday, I'm going to focus my energy at tech strip, the weekends, family time, or what does that look like?
Yeah. Great question. So, time management, are you familiar with the big rocks theory?
I'm not.
You ever heard of this? So imagine you have like a mason jar, okay? And then right next to the mason jar, you have some like larger like rocks, and then you have some smaller pebbles, and then you have some sand. Okay. And your goal is to get all of that inside this mason jar. Okay. If you start with the sand will fill up most of it, and then you'll put the pebbles in there. And then the bigger rocks, they won't fit in there.
Gotcha.
Okay. This is an analogy for time management. The big rocks represent the things that you want to achieve in life. The spending time journaling, working out, reading books, meditating, right? They're the things that are going to start in your business. The things that you're going to move you forward. Okay. The pebbles, those are the day-to-day activities, the things you have going on. The sands are the little emergencies, the things that pop up in your life, right? The things that just come about. Well, so if you take that mason jar and you start with the big rocks, you put those in first. The pebbles, the little pebbles, they'll fill in between the big rocks, and the sand will fill in between all that. The point of this story is that you start with the things that are important to you and you put those in your schedule first. So I schedule time to meditate. I schedule time to work out. I schedule time to read books. Those are all things that are in my schedule because they're important to me. I schedule time to spend with my family.
Wow.
Right? And then from there, yes, like you said, I schedule time for my business. I schedule meetings for the farm, things like that. And then between all those things, the little emergencies, they fall into cracks in between there, but they're not preventing me from working out and doing all the other things because I've specifically scheduled time to fix those things.
Interesting.
Now, of course, the goal is to eliminate a lot of those emergencies.
Right.
And that could be something like, buying a quality vehicle, doing maintenance on it so you're not stranded on the side of the road. It might be, getting people out of your life that are constantly sucking up your resources. And I've had family members that are like that, where they want to take up and everything's an emergency and they want to take from you.
Yes, dude.
And you have to be at the point where you set boundaries with those type of people, right? And so when you start looking at life as you have a limited amount of time, it is your greatest resource because it's limited. Your time is so important to you. When you start looking at it and allocating where you're going to spend the time, then things start really changing. You start evaluating what you're going to allow in your life and what you're not. The thing I would tell anybody who struggled with time management or money management is if you don't tell it where to go, it will disappear. It'll find its own place to go. You have to tell your time where you want to put it. You have to tell your money where you want it to go. Either one of those, if you don't tell them where to go, they will disappear. They'll find their own place to go.
Wow, very well said. Dude, I'm like a freaking sponge right now, just soaking all of this in.
I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. And you said you schedule time for your family. Do you like literally like in a calendar?
Yeah,
do you do digital
100%.
calendar or a physical calendar?
Yeah, absolutely. A digital calendar. So everything's in my phone.
Yeah.
Been that way since like there's a Windows phone back in the day, you know, and it had a calendar thing on it, and I started using that. I was at a conference one time, and there was a CEO of Disney that was there.
Wow.
And he was speaking at the conference, and he's an older guy, and people are asking him like what is the secret to your success? I mean, Disney is a huge company. You have all these things going on, and they were expecting like great things of wisdom and all that stuff. Yeah,
or something.
Like just all this stuff that he did to do it and all that stuff. And he pulled out this ratty planner from his back pocket, and he said, "If I tell you I'm going to be somewhere at a certain time at a certain date, I will be there." He's like, "This thing right here is the differentiator. Everything goes into this calendar, and this is what I manage my time by." And you'll find that true with highly successful people or people that have a lot going on. They manage their time very, very strictly. If I tell you I'm going to meet you somewhere 10 years from now at a certain time, I'll be there. I have it directly in my calendar, and that's how I manage my time.
Interesting. And I'm trying to do some of those similar things. That's why I showed up 3 minutes late today. I was like, fuck, bro, I'm sorry, Philip. Like,
That's traffic, man.
Yeah, I know. But still at the same time, like, I'm trying to make these changes in my life because,
Yeah.
like you said, you're hearing all these little crumbs from all these successful people, and they add up. Like, this guy's doing the same things. This guy's doing the same things. Obviously, there's something to this.
Yeah.
I got to at least try to put the effort in. I'm not just speaking for me. I'm just for people listening.
Yeah, in general. Absolutely.
Okay, interesting. Scheduling the time. And then, like, do you and your wife share, like, a shared calendar, or do you just, like...
I add her to events that are applicable. So, yeah, a lot of the events that were shared on it. So she has her own calendar, but I add her as a guest on a lot of the things.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of routine built into my calendar, though, so my wife automatically knows, like, for the most part, what it is. So the only things that are different on there is if we're traveling somewhere or we have some event or something like that coming up, we put it in there. But yeah, absolutely. Time management, critical, one of those critical life skills that you really need to manage. And it's something that if you struggle at, it will cost you a lot in life. If you're because you're always like kind of running behind, you're always struggling, and you'll never feel like you catch up if you don't get that mastered.
Yeah, and I've definitely felt some of that before, so I know exactly what you're saying. And I don't want to bring like too much like partner and relationship into it, if you want to talk.
No, absolutely, yeah, we can. Yeah, my wife. So my wife is amazing. She's one of the smartest people I've ever met, and she's a fantasy fiction author. And one of the things that my wife really. And I
because I'm curious, like how you manage like with relationship in business. Like,
yeah,
has she been supportive? And like how did you?
Yeah, absolutely. And so early on when I was like flipping houses and stuff like that, my wife would get the builder's license for me in her name because she's so smart. She could read all of the information, go take the test, and ace it. One of the smartest people in the world, and she's part of my life. So when you have somebody like that, it's amazing. Another thing that my wife is really good at is like the design components. She's also somebody who Like I'm like, go, go, go. Like, let's figure this out. My wife is like, wait a minute. Like, let's slow down a little bit and like kind of look at this. So what she really provides for me is balance. And I'm fortunate to have that in my spouse. And I tell people, if you don't have that with your partner, your wife or husband or significant other, find it through a friend or somebody who can help balance you, that can help kind of reel you in on certain things and can help direct you. Obviously, you don't want somebody who is going to hold you back because they have limited beliefs or limited ideas. Hopefully, you're with somebody who is successful, or you're working with somebody who wants to achieve great things like you do. Because if they don't share the same values as you, then it's going to be a struggle. But if you have somebody who shares the same values, somebody who wants to live life, who doesn't have those limited beliefs, and they complement a lot of your natural talents in a different way, then you've struck gold. And that's what I was fortunate to do with my wife.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. Because a lot of times, especially in business entrepreneurship, it's like there's some friction in the relationship because, he wants to work all night or all day or something, and she wants to hang out, or vice versa. There's a lot of navigating in the business and spouse world. And the podcast that I help out with, that's one of their key core pillars is spouses in business.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious to learn, especially as me and my wife are both 30, both self-employed, and we're navigating the world of like, time, obviously you mentioned it, time management is what we got to improve on, I think.
Yeah, because your relationship is important. I mean, that is the priority. I mean, everything I'm doing is for my wife and my kids and my family and our future together. Like that means everything. And so if my wife says, no, you're not doing that, and it firmly believes on that, I'm not doing that. Because she's the most important thing, right? And I want to move forward with the confidence and support of the most important person to me in my life, which is my wife. So it is an incredibly important part of my journey. And what I do is having her involvement and understanding. And sometimes we'll have like minor disagreements on things, and we'll have a discussion. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes she's right, sometimes I should have listened to her on things, and that's happened time and time again.
Yeah, once or twice. Yeah.
But we'll have a conversation. If she's really adamant about something, I will 100% listen to her. And because I don't want to do something against that, because even if it's successful, it's not really. So, right. But at the same point in time, it's important for me to delegate and make sure that I'm not taking on things that are going to get in the way of me having a relationship with her and spending time. I have to prioritize time with my wife and my kids. And something that I struggled with the work ethic component was I was working nonstop, and I was not allowing for time with my wife and kids. And when I started looking at it, because I started having success and I started having employees, and I was still working a lot of hours, and I started looking at it and going, why am I doing this? Why am I working all these hours? What am I doing it for right now? And what I found out was I couldn't sit still. The silence of doing quote unquote nothing, which really was spending time with my family, was giving me massive anxiety. So I was filling it with work. I was filling it with busy work.
Interesting.
So I wasn't trying to prioritize time with my family because I couldn't deal with the quiet time. I had to keep busy to deal with that. So then I said, well, what if I start dealing with this anxiety first? Like, let's look at that. Let's explore that. Let's figure that out first. And so I did it. I started focusing on that anxiety through meditation and observing and journaling and things like that. And it wasn't until I fixed that I could enjoy spending time relaxing with my family and be willing to create businesses where I delegated things off. And so for my situation, and maybe some of you out there that are listening, start with, why do you feel you need to work so much? And would you be happy relaxing and spending time with your family?
Wow. Dang, man. And how does like that process, was that like, did you figure that out in a few weeks? Did it take years, months? Is it something you're still practicing and working
Oh,
on?
sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it took some time, and it took, honestly, my wife saying like, "Hey, you hit the dreams you want. You're a multimillionaire. Why are you still doing this? Why are you still working like this? You're the CEO of this company. You own this company. Why are you doing this?" Right? And I said, "You have a good point. Why am I doing this?" Right? And instead of blowing my wife off and going, "Well, I got to do that. This is what made me successful. It's my work ethic. It's the drive." And I took a look back and said, "Why am I doing this?" And I had a ton of excuses for it. I need to do this. Well, it's important. If I let go, blah, blah, blah. I had a bunch of excuses, but the real answer was, when I sat there, when we were on vacation, we were sitting there on the beach, I couldn't stop looking at my phone. I couldn't stop working, right? Well, that's not normal, right? And part of it was the upbringing. Part of it was the way I was raised. Part of it was that I found success through working. Part of it was the times that I had tried to let go. Maybe something happened and I was still looking back at that or whatever it was. But the reality was I had anxiety that I was filling with work. And I was never going to get to a point where I could enjoy life until I dealt with managing that anxiety. Wow. And when I did that, it allowed me to find people that I trusted. It forced me to get away. It forced me to trust and delegate. And the result was being not just self-employed, not just an entrepreneur, but a serial entrepreneur over multiple companies, because now I didn't have to be involved. I was not the bottleneck to this entire thing. So the only way I was able to get with that was to first deal with that anxiety, because I never would have built companies that could run themselves now, because I wouldn't want to. Why would I want to do that? I want the work. I want the involvement, right? But now I'm able to let go of those things, which in turn built self-sustaining companies that have allowed me to grow at a rate that I never would have been able to.
Man, and how do you do now with doing nothing and quietness?
Yeah, I mean, much better. I mean, it's part of my routine. It's all kind of a challenge. When I started meditating, I had heard a lot about meditation from a lot of very successful people. A lot of people I'd interviewed, I talked to, I'd read about it constantly, and they just talked about how life-changing meditation was for them. And so I tried it out, and initially I said, this is stupid. I'm getting nothing out of this. Like, I don't get it. What am I supposed to experience with this? And so the first few times I tried it, I can't do this. I mean, I got time for this. I got too much to do. I can't, do it. But enough people had talked about it. I'd read enough on it. I said, I know there's something to this. And I'm somebody who constantly talks about, healthy habits and stuff like that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to stop expecting anything from meditation. I'm just going to do it. And that was the difference maker. When I stopped expecting anything, I found results. And I started looking at it going, oh, wait a minute. This is doing something. First, just the very fact that I had to dedicate time to quote unquote do nothing.
Put it in your calendar.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
12 o'clock.
Just because that's kind of what meditation felt to me at the time. It felt like I was doing nothing, right? I was wasting time. That very process of doing that was beneficial for me, who was a workaholic at the time. So that process alone, and forcing myself to do that every single day, was beneficial in itself. But then I was doing guided meditation, and you'd work on your breathing, and then you'd let go, and then you'd work on your breathing, and then you let go. And it was like I was flexing a muscle, and I was learning how to focus my thoughts and my energy and balance my emotions, and then let go, and then focus back. And then I would find myself being able to control things in highly stressful situations, situations that previously would have allowed emotions to well up and allow me to make, or force me to make rash decisions and bad decisions. Ultimately, I was now able to breathe through them and see them for what they were, and use the higher parts of my brain, the problem solving parts of my brain, and instead of letting it get away from me. So meditation ended up being incredibly beneficial, but I had to approach it differently. I had to approach it from not expecting anything.
Wow. Very different way of looking at it. I like that. And everybody has their different forms of meditation. What particularly do you practice?
Yeah, so I just sit down. For me, it's every evening. I sit down and my kids go to bed, wife goes to bed. Sometimes I'll do it with my workout routine, like kind of in between it. But I pop in my headphones and I do a guided meditation on my phone.
Like the Calm app?
Yeah, I was using Headspace for a while, but there's a new one out. It's like Mind Bloom or Fun or something like that. Okay. This one's a free one. It's actually ran by a nonprofit organization. And I've started exploring it because when I'm telling people about like Headspace and stuff like that, and it's got a subscription, I feel bad for some people who can't afford that. This one's cool because it's completely free and it's supported by a nonprofit. It's really good. And if you're somebody who wants to get into meditation, I'd encourage you, because there's enough free stuff out there. I mean, you can even find YouTube videos that do it. And a guided meditation is a really great way to do it, and it'll walk you through it. And so I really enjoy doing it. And, so I just sit down and do it and dedicate time to do it. Even if it's 5 minutes every day, you can't tell me you don't have 5 minutes to sit down and do it, right? And just the 5 minutes is beneficial to do every day.
Awesome to know. I know we'll start wrapping up. Dan's gone through like 2 cards now. I hear the click going off. You're good? We're good? Okay. And I know, obviously, your time, whenever we have to wrap up, please.
No, all good. Yeah, for sure.
Kicked out, but I'm literally just super enjoying this. 2 more things I wanted to kind of dive into.
Yeah.
We'll keep going to the time part. What is, you're managing a lot of different things. What does the typical day in the life of a CEO business, Philip, look like? Like, are you, like, I know some of the entrepreneurial business guys, like they're at 5 a.m., crack of dawn kind of thing. What does it look like for you?
Yeah. Usually, I mean, I'm up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, but that's because my kids, I mean, they got to be off to school and stuff like that. I do like to get up early so that I can chat with the people over in India and the Philippines on the other side of the world. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do like to get up early. I'll usually be up, chatting with them and talking with them pretty early and going through things. Every morning at 9 a.m., I do a Zoom call called Coffee Talk. And any one of my employees anywhere in the world can hop on the call, and there's no agenda. We sometimes just chat about our day, what we got going on, and drink coffee or tea, if it depends on where they're at. But the point of that is to be able to connect with anybody, and you in the virtual world, you miss a lot of that people-to-people interaction. And I knew I found it especially during COVID, when we were all working virtually, I missed that human connection. And so we started doing the Coffee Talk, and sometimes we're talking business, but most of the time it's just, hey, what are your plans for the weekend, or what do you got going on, or somebody sharing pictures of a vacation they just went on or something like that. And it's just a chance to just connect with other people.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to forget that, yeah, you're doing business together. Yeah, you could be solving problems for your customer, but at the end of the day, it's about the people. And so I start my work day really off with that call, and I think it's important. And then usually I have Zoom calls with people throughout the area. Then I usually end up over here at the farm connecting with a lot of the farm employees on various projects and stuff like that we have going on. Mm-hmm. And then I have a few more meetings throughout the day. And then typically in the evening is when I'm doing podcasts and things like that. And then I like to spend after 5 o'clock, I like to spend with my family, doing different activities and things like that with them. Anything from grocery shopping to go and see a movie to going for walks across the farm and stuff like that with them, things like that. So
it's business mind is kind of shut off around 5. It's not like 12 o'clock. I mean, obviously, different times and problems.
No, 100%
situations
though.
come up. You gotta take care of business, but usually. That's cool to know that.
Usually it is, yeah. And most of the stuff we're doing after like 5 is usually related to this farm. And my wife and kids are usually over here with me doing those activities. So the farm is a little bit different because we get to do like farm activities together.
Yeah. And I know starting out, like sometimes you gotta burn the midnight oil is what they say. Like there is some late nights involved, but
yeah, every once in a while. Like last night we were putting sand out in the arena and we were doing some stuff like that. So we were kind of here late moving jumps out and stuff. And it wasn't something I had to do. The barn manager was actually here to do it. But, I like working around the farm. I like the physical activity around it. So when I have the opportunity to, I like to do it.
Yeah. And obviously hearing about your time management and everything, you're not like every night, 11:30, I'm still
working.
Business.
No, because one of the most important things that you can add to your life, if you don't have this right now, I'm telling you, if you want to be successful in life, prioritize getting good quality sleep. That is something that a lot of people miss. And when you're younger, I think you can get away with not getting as much sleep, but there's a lot of studies that go on about the longevity, health, problem solving, all that stuff, getting good quality sleep. So it's just one of those things you have to prioritize and manage.
Yeah, I think it's probably my downfall right now is the sleep.
Yep.
I'd look at it kind of how you looked at meditation. It's like a waste of time.
Yeah.
I could be up finishing some projects or getting a head start on tomorrow's stuff. Why am I going to waste time sleeping for 8 hours? Let me cut that into how much can I like sleep less? Okay, I can operate on 5 hours. Let me just crank out 5 hours. And I've been doing that for a while now, but I turned 30 this year.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of people are starting to talk more about sleep. So me and my wife been trying to make it more of a priority.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to turn it off, man.
Oh, I get it. And so I think some of the journaling will help with that. I recently read a book, and I'll have to get you the title later because I can't think it off the top of my head, but it was on sleep. And after reading the book, you understand how important it is. But it also came up with a lot of good tips on how you can get good sleep. Like a couple of them are like, don't eat 4 hours before bedtime, stay off your screens, cut the screen time as early as you possibly can before you sleep because the blue light disrupts your sleep and things like that. So there's a lot of things that we do that we don't realize that are setting us up for poor sleep. And when you start identifying and realizing what those things are and dealing with them, then you end up getting much better quality sleep.
Yeah. And there's something I heard on a recent podcast. I can't remember who said it, but they were talking like trying to break down for somebody like me the importance of sleep.
Yeah.
Like we spend half of our lives sleeping.
Yep.
During the primal days when we were hunting and running around butt naked in the fires, the fact that we were in survival mode but we still found time to sleep kind of says a lot that like we need sleep.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. So many studies are done on it. I mean, you can read plenty of books and just Google it, why sleep's important, that type of thing. And you'll find all kinds of articles on it. But I really encourage you, if you don't have sleep part of your life right now, you're not getting good quality sleep, focus on it, make it a priority, and watch your life change because it will.
And for you, sleep, is it like solid 8 hours, 10, 6? Everybody has their...
Yeah, I'm probably closer to around 6. Okay. 6.5 is what I've been getting, and that's pretty much enough for me. I used to get more when I was younger, but I think as I get older, I don't require as much sleep.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like, think about my grandparents. Like, they're always up early to bed late. Like, they don't sleep that much.
Yeah.
What do you think's to that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you just need less sleep. But I track my sleep. I have my Galaxy watch, and so I run it every night, and it tracks my REMs. It tracks my blood oxygen, all that kind of stuff every night. And I look to see, and I'm getting enough REMs. I'm getting all that stuff. And so I don't know. As long as you're getting good, deep sleep, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, if you're getting 8 hours of terrible sleep where you're constantly awake and you're not getting restful sleep, I think that's a little different. So I don't necessarily know if it has to do with the amount of time as it does the amount of like quality, deep sleep that you're getting.
Yes, very well said. I actually she's on a podcast. She's a myofunctional therapist where she works on like breathing and sleep and stuff. And she actually said the same exact quote. It's not, we made a video of it. It's not about how much you sleep. It's literally the quality.
The quality, yeah.
And I have this thing called the Whoop band that tracks your
Oh, yeah.
sleep.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
I
that.
ain't gonna lie, man. Sometimes I'm scared to
Yeah, check it out. Yeah.
I know it's gonna be red those days.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna use this as a pivotal point. And everybody listening, like, let's do it together, bro. Let's bring sleep back. Let's make sleep cool again.
Absolutely, yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Set up your room. Make sure it's dark. You bring your temperature down. I have a Nest thermostat.
Okay.
So my house, before I go to bed, it drops it to 65, and then during the day we go up to 70. So I'm dropping it cold because I want restful sleep. And there's a lot of those type of things that you can do to set yourself up for good deep sleep. And so it's not an accident that I get good deep sleep for 6.5 hours. It's intentional. I did a lot of things to make sure, because I used to struggle with it. I used to sit there awake with thoughts running in my mind and stuff like that. And I do things to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm intentional on it, and you can be too.
Damn. That's awesome, man. We're gonna start wrapping it up. As you keep going, bro, I just keep getting more interested.
All kinds of stuff. Well, if you want, I have a book that I wrote called The 3 Keys to Success.
Okay.
We'll grab you one. I'll send it with you. But anybody listening, if you did want to order, it's on philportman.com. You can get it. You can also get it on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, anywhere else you buy your books. And I have a lot of like work activities inside there that you go through and do inside the book. And it is a challenge, and some of it's kind of difficult, but if you go through them, it will improve your life and the things that you're trying to achieve if you go through them.
Amazing. I would appreciate that. And is it on Amazon, or where
Yeah,
can people
for sure. It's on Amazon. Yep, on Amazon. Or if you go to philportman.com,
Okay.
my website, I got a link to it as well. You can click on there.
I'll put the link to the website and skip the Amazon.
Yeah, either way.
royalties, go
Well,
right
either
to
way, you can grab the book. So,
Dude, that is awesome. One last thing, because I'm curious. Why? I mean, I guess probably I'm answering my own question as I'm thinking of the question.
yeah, sure.
Why are you in Michigan? Why in Michigan? Why are you in Michigan?
Yeah. Well,
So many beautiful places out there. A guy that have seen some success. Like you
I've
could.
traveled the whole world, man, and I think where I live right now here in Rose Township, Michigan, is the most beautiful place in the world. And I every year I do a full circle travel around the world. I end up going to Europe. I stop there, then I go to India, and then I go to the Philippines, and then I come back through California before I come back to Michigan. And so I see it all. We go down to for our anniversary every year. We go down to Tulum in Mexico. I love it down there. Spring break, we meet with family down in Florida. We go down to there every year for spring break. And my brother lives out in Las Vegas. I often do conferences out there.
All these places are warm.
Yeah, I mean, they're all, my sister lives in California. So yeah, there's a lot of like warm places, but here in Michigan, we have all 4 seasons. And so you get bored with one and you're on to the next one. And it's gorgeous, fall with all the colors we had. I mean, I took you around the farm, we look back there and you're seeing the fall colors changing, right? And then soon we're going to have snow, and that lake back there is going to be iced over, and you get the silence and the calm from the snow that you don't get anywhere else, right? And then just as you're getting tired of the snow, then spring starts to break and the animals start coming out. It starts warming up. You start going outside without a coat on, People start going to Home Depot to buy plants and get ready for their gardens and all the excitement around that. And then summer comes and the lawn cutting and the people outdoors, and they're coming out of hibernation again and stuff like that. It's the constant change and the excitement and the anticipation of the seasons. You get to enjoy each one of them. And not everyone has those, you know. You go to these different countries, and some of them it's summer all the time. It's summer or rainy season, you know. Those are the two seasons they get. And so no, I've been all over the world, and when I'm traveling, I can't wait to get back home because I absolutely love where I live, and I'm not going anywhere. I mean, this is, you know, that's why we bought the horse farm here as well. I have the house. I bought my mom a house behind me, and I bought this horse farm because I'm invested in this area. This is where I'm staying.
Awesome. And Tech Strip headquarters is?
It is. So most of our employees are kind of all over, but our headquarters are technically at our office in Highland.
Okay.
But you know, we have offices over in India, our call centers in the Philippines, and then I work out of this office here at the horse farm.
Yeah.
So
Amazing, man. Again, I could sit here and just soak up all this information, but I'm gonna be respectful of time and everything. So I appreciate you seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was great chatting with you for sure, and I'll send you home with my book. Let me know what you think.
That'd be amazing, man. And I know a lot of people listening, like they're gonna get. I know people are gonna message me like, "Dude, that Philip guy, dude."
Dan, would you mind grabbing one of the books out of there?
Yeah, we could show it real quick.
Sure, but yeah,
because a lot of.
It's on the fireplace in the office there.
You mentioned surrounding yourself with, you know, like good people.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been trying to do that, so I know the people that will be listening to this think like-minded in a lot of things that we've been saying. So I know it's gonna be very, very appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Dan. So 3 Keys to Success. So check it out. It's
hardback too. Good old fashioned. No PDFs.
No. So yeah, you take that one, check it out. Like I said, there's a lot of work activities inside there. It's not like a book you just read, throw on a shelf, and you're like, okay, I got it. Like, it's got a lot of very difficult activities in there. But there are things that I've used in my life that have helped me out. And then there are also activities that the people that I've interviewed, there's some common themes, common traits that I hear from them, and I distilled them and pulled them into there. And then I have kind of my life story inside there, kind of weave throughout it as well. So, yeah.
Dude, that is amazing. And let's plug some of this stuff in here because it says for the past 3 years, Phil has a podcast called Success Is.
That's right. Yeah. So my Success Is podcast, I interview people from a variety of backgrounds who have achieved great success in their field, and people from hedge fund managers to entrepreneurs, authors, I had a stunt woman on there, like all different types of things. And I always, the opening question I ask them is, what does success mean to you? Because we talked about a lot of people, it's just money, right? But if you look at really highly successful people, especially the ones that have already achieved the money, they have a different definition of success. The money is often the byproduct of what they're doing. But we kind of go through that in the book and explore what the different things that people define as success are, how they achieved it. And there's some common themes that you'll see behind people. Like one of the things that we already talked about on this podcast was continuous learning. A lot of very successful people are continuous learning. We talked about habits like working out all the time. A lot of successful people work out all the time, right? Writing down goals, things like that. And so we talk about all those things in that book. But yeah, Success Is podcast. If you go to philportman.com, you can find links to those as well.
Yeah, we'll drop all the links down below because, yeah, I'm actually excited to go home and get to reading, bro.
Find out about me, yeah.
Yeah, no,
sure.
Sick. And this came out when? 2025? I'm just curious because, like, I had a guy on the podcast that he does.
I think it was this year, yeah.
He works at book publishing. So I know the learning, because one day he said, you know, you ever heard that saying, like, everybody has a book inside them.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, yeah,
like, everybody does. And one day, like I said, I'm a creator and a doer. I'm going to have a hardback too.
Yeah, so the only thing, the thing I'll tell you to anything, right, to writing is just do it every single day. Just write. Because the first version of this book that started, I don't know how many years ago it was, 5 years ago or whatever it was, did not look like that.
It looked like this.
And it was terrible. I mean, it was awful, right? But wrote it, got it on paper, and then I had some amazing editors, and then I went back and rewrote parts of it and restructured parts of it, went back to editors and back and forth. And years later, like, it's a polished, like what I want, you know what I mean? And it's not just something that I can hand to somebody. It's something that my son can read, it's, you want to understand like your dad, where I came from, what my thoughts were and stuff like that. Just read the book, and that was really the purpose behind it. And so like anything, it's just building the habit around actually doing it. Just take time, write it. Does not going to look pretty. You're going to polish it up through editors later.
Amazing.
Cool.
Damn, Phil. Thank you so much, bro. That was fire. People are going to love this one. I already know that people are going to, oh, dude, Phil, get the Phil guy. Phil.
All right, man.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
You got it.
That was awesome. And seriously, thank you guys so much for the love and the support of not only just a podcast, but my creative career, is if you want to call it that. I appreciate you guys for watching. I hear all the time people are, where's the podcast? Where's the YouTubes? And just know I do appreciate it, and it means a lot. So thank you guys all for watching my videos, and we'll see you in the next episode.